Hello people, Tony here, and welcome back to another episode of TTBurger Game Reviews, and this is another multi-part review here. This is episode 124, part 1 of 4. And today, I want to talk a little bit about first-person shooters. They need no introduction. Like, if you've been gaming since like the 90s and stuff like that, you know what first-person shooters are. Pretty much start out with Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, and more, and you got a lot of 3D first-person shooters that were very popular as well. On the PlayStation 2, the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, Xbox, and more. But today I want to talk about a series that started out on the PlayStation 2 and stuff, and then became like the PC and them and stuff. But it started out love on the PlayStation 2 back in 2001. And this is a series that takes place on Mars and stuff like that. Well, the first game and stuff that takes place on Mars and stuff. And it's a fun first-person shooter, and the series for the most part is great, aside from like a couple of problems, stuff like that, a couple games stuff. But we'll talk about that as the time goes on. But I want to talk a little bit about the Red Faction series, and Red Faction is definitely one of my favorite game series of all time and stuff like that and such. Like how it started off, like how it's basically like a first-person shooter on Mars and stuff, and it basically like started off with around the time games like The Operative No One Lives Forever, Half-Life, Soldier of Fortune, Gold Edition, Time Splitters and stuff were popular and such. And like I said, this episode will be divided up into 4 parts here for the Red Faction series. And part 1 we're going to look at the original Red Faction. Then part 2, Red Faction 2. Then part 3, Red Faction Guerrilla for the PlayStation 3. And then part 4, Red Faction Armageddon for the PlayStation 3. But we got a lot to talk about here, so let's get started here as we talk about the original Red Faction for the PlayStation 2. First released in 2001, and then later for the PC a year later. Now, my thoughts on Red Faction is this. It's a fun game and definitely one of my favorite first-person shooters on the PlayStation 2 and one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. The game uses the Half-Life game engine and works really well in my opinion, sometimes even better than Half-Life itself. What I like about the original Red Faction is that it's a first-person shooter that takes place on Mars, and it's awesome. It works really well, and just they thought of something creative and it works. Now, Red Faction's story puts you in the shoes of Parker, an Earthborn human who leaves Earth to go work in the mines on Mars, and he works for a company called Ultor. At first, Parker enjoys it, but then things go wrong. The company he works for called Ultor basically treats their workers like slaves and stuff. They're cramped up in small rooms and cells like prisoners, and they're just treated like crap all around. And not only that, there's a plague-like sickness going on that is killing the miners and more. And as Parker, you must survive, find out the cause of the plague, and stop Ultor, and just escape with your life and stuff. It's a great story, it's mostly told in-game and not many cutscene scenes in it, but it works really well. Because like it puts that realistic feel to it, so that you do not need cutscenes and stuff to make a great story. For the graphics, the game's graphics are great. The presentation is basically one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 2 and stuff, and the presentation definitely does its job here. The character models animate really well and look great. Although their faces could look better, but still they're great looking character models. The environments also look awesome too, and even though you're mostly indoors in the game, they look very detailed. The gun models are great too, that they fit that Mars life-like setting to it, especially your pistol. And the cutscenes use the in-game engine, and they still look great. And also, there's no frame rate issues at all. Like no slowdown, no dip in the frame rate, no frame rate issues at all. It's smooth frame rate all around. Now for the sound, we gotta talk a little bit about the sound here. The voice setting is okay, not the best voice setting, but still okay for the most part. The music, while there's not much music in Red Faction, it still is great. I mean, I like the music and stuff, definitely. And the guns sound awesome too, and more, like explosions sound great and stuff, and you got like the chatter from what's going on and stuff like that from all around. It's just great sound, although the voice setting could be better, but it's just a minor nitpick, I know. I'm sorry, people. Now we gotta get into the gameplay here. The best word to describe gameplay is fantastic, lots of fun, awesome, amazing, fucking great. This is a first-person shooter that feels very open, and what I mean by that, it's that the large environment and all the action make it very enjoyable and make it feel very open. One new feature that this game offers is destructible environments and stuff, like using the Geo-Mod technology. You can blow up walls or platforms so to take shortcuts, and it gives that fun, really realistic feel to it. Sure, you can't destroy everything. There are certain walls you can't destroy and stuff like that and such, but back then for 2001, this was cutting edge for its time, man. I mean, sure, the Geo-Mod technology of this game is like not as big as it was back then, but still, for its time, it was definitely a big thing and such. You have a big variety of weapons to choose from that have two types of firing methods, like the pistol you can shoot normally or put a silencer on it. Submachine gun you can fire automatically or have a manually 3-round burst and stuff. And your shotgun you can do a 2-round burst, or for the secondary fire mode, you can hold down the R2 button and you'll just fire all the bullets in your round and stuff. And that's really cool too. There's also some platforming elements here as well, which if you like platforming elements, then you'll like it. But if you don't care for it, then you probably won't change your mind. But I didn't have a problem with it. And you also have vehicles you can pilot here as well, which are also fun. They're rare, but fun. The controls are very simple and very smooth and take advantage of the PlayStation 2's analog sticks as well. The game is very lengthy. It's like one huge level that keeps going until the end. It has short load times to let you know that you're in a new area and such, and it's kind of cool how big it's like just one big level and stuff. And for the game is just great. It's a lot of fun, definitely. But now I gotta get to the negatives. During certain parts of Red Faction, you have stealth missions, and the stealth missions are not much fun at all. It's easy to get detected, and you won't know how you get detected. And when you do get detected, you only have to defend yourself with a pistol, and you can run out of ammo fast. And the soldiers here are just a lot stronger in the stealth missions, and they can just detect you randomly at any time. And it is very frustrating. Also, there is no autosave feature. Sure, you can save anytime during the game manually, but if you die and don't save at all or don't save often, you'll either go back to the very beginning of the game, or you'll go back to the last save game. So be sure you save often, especially if you're new to this game, not very well experienced with first-person shooters here, because you're gonna definitely need to save often, definitely. But aside from those complaints, though, there really isn't much else to say about this game and stuff. I mean, like, the game is awesome. It's definitely one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 2, one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. Because it was very rare where we had a first-person shooter that takes place on Mars and stuff. It makes you feel like you're actually a survivor and like trying to escape, and you actually feel like you're Parker on Mars and stuff. And it definitely works really well. So my final verdict goes like this. I love this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I definitely recommend you all to pick it up too if you can find it. It's very cheap. Like, you can find it for about like $3 or $4 stuff on Amazon, or like the local disc store and stuff like that, or so, or you can just buy it on eBay or whatever and stuff. Just find it, this game. Definitely pick it up because you'll not know what you're missing. Due to the complaints I have, that the score I'll be given is a 9 out of 10 because the save feature and the stealth mission and stuff, and just it could get frustrating, but it's still a fantastic game and such, definitely. And that's it for episode 124 part 1. Stay tuned for episode 124 part 2, where we're going to take a look at Red Faction 2. Now, how does Red Faction 2 compare to its predecessor? Stay tuned to find out. Which all I gotta say is Tony, peace and out.